All right, everybody, welcome to our February. I don't know how it's already February. Fierce Leader Team Call. We are going to kick this off right away with recognition. First of all, I just want to say, actually, before we do that, this is like the only time we get to be together. And I know I'm not one for togetherness. I'll confess that, yeah, I know. But we can like spend 30 minutes together, put down our phones, put away our extra tabs, and just like hang out. There's like been nothing. We did 2020 without being together at all. So let's just make the most of these, I think. So, Melissa, why don't you kick it off with recognition?
Okay, so here we go. We're on a leader call again, and it's really, really fun to see you all. Thanks for being here. And so I have the stats for January. So our numbers show that we had 13 new enrollments, which puts us at 1,849 fierce leaders. So I want to take a minute to acknowledge our enrollers last month. So there were 6 people that each had 1 enrollment. Betty Stromberg, Kara Manders, Susan Wood, Pamela Jensen, Amy Baumans, and yours truly. And I just want to do a shout out to Pamela, who's on this call, who I'm going to introduce in a minute. This was her very first enrollment. And so we're very, very excited for her and for the enthusiasm and excitement she brings. And then with 2 enrollments, there were 2 people, Laura Whipperman and Emily Rashid. So congratulations, guys. That's amazing. And I just wanted to take a quick minute to introduce you all to Pam. Pam is actually a professional fundraiser for International Justice Mission, AKA IJM. If you haven't heard of them, you need to go look at ijm.org and see the amazing work that they do. But they're a global organization. They partner with local justice systems to end violence against people living in poverty. Their ultimate goal is to end slavery. Pam's married to Richard. They have a daughter named Ashley who is getting married in September. So that's really fun. And they've got a great year ahead. And we're really excited to have Pam with us. I think you'll all enjoy her very much. Her energy and her enthusiasm are very contagious. So that's my intro to Pam.
Hey, Pam. I feel like it's like a meeting together where we're all like, hi, Pam, and made ourselves and do that. And I love it. Okay, so we're going to kick it right over to hearing from some other fierce leaders. So, why don't you share first?
Okay, so Amy asked me to share about a couple things. So I participated the last week of January in this online vendor fair that I have resisted for so long. So I was connected with this woman back in like October, and she was like, does these every month. And she's I never know how to say it, Monet or Monat, the hair thing. So she's a rep. I know this is so Midwestern, Monat. So sorry. So so she does this. And so it's this whole thing. She invited me to, and I kept being like, oh, it's not a good time. It's not a good time. But I asked Amy, I'm like, am I dumb for not doing this? She's like, kind of, like, you should do it. She said it more graciously, but she was like, you really should do it. So I agreed to it and like regretted it from the moment that I agreed to it, because it just felt like this huge, like daunting, really daunting to like, so each vendor, it's like a combination of vendors, right? And each vendor has to invite 50 people. It's on Facebook. And that feels like a massive amount of people to me, because I don't like blanket invites. And so I wanted to like individually be inviting people. So that felt daunting. Creating like the content, like what I wanted to say, it's a public group. And so I had to be like really careful with my wording, and then like what pictures and how to engage people and how do I do this. It all just felt really daunting. And I was like, I seriously regretted it from like the moment I agreed to it. It was a ton of work to get it like all set up and everything, and inviting 50 people, and I didn't get 50. And then I was like stressed about that. It was this whole thing. It was like not a like fun lead up to the actual vendor fair, because it was a ton of work. But that being said, so I like resisted it for so long, and I feel like it ended up being really, I don't know if I'd say really positive, because at the end of the day, the Facebook thing is not really my jam. It's not how I want to do my business, but it's like it's COVID. Like it makes so much sense to meet new people in the age of a pandemic. And it's how a lot of people really resonate and are like, oh, I saw your post, I'll buy a kit, right? And so that all just feels foreign to me, but it resonates with a lot of people. So I was trying to like stretch that a bit. So all that to say, the way I did it was like carefully, but with, like one post about doTERRA, and then kind of went through the top 10 in post form, but brief. And then was like, in each post was like, hey, catch my live video on Saturday. I'm doing this live video Saturday at this time, be on this live video. And people were on the live video and like commented. And there was yeah, so I've been in touch with several people, and I just put the link in the like a link generator, like it created a link generator for the 2 kits I was talking about, and just put it in the comments. I was like, here's where you purchase. And somebody did. You guys, like someone just clicked the link and bought a kit. And to me, I'm like, what? You don't even know me, and you just like bought this kit. So yeah, I've been in contact with like 3 other women. I'm like still in contact with them about the oils that they've said they want. So all that to say, I'm like glad that I did it. I made a lot of new contacts, some people, it's just more like back and forth contact, honestly, online than I really like to do, but I feel like it was a good thing overall. So that was the vendor fair. I sent Amy a picture of my like enrollment email, and I was like, does this mean I have to stop pissing and moaning about the vendor fair now? It's like, yes, you do need to stop about this. So I just finished that yesterday, was the last day of like kind of wrapping that up. And then like moving forward, you guys have probably heard me talk about the recipes classes that I'm moving into. And when I first created that like a few months ago, I just posted on Fierce Oilers, I think, like, what are some recipes you guys are liking? And I just literally took all of them, and like Wendy Sorum created them, made them into slides for me. And after I did, like, I just, I didn't think through a ton of other different things. I just took what was offered, what people said was that recipes they liked, and I put it into a PowerPoint. And then after I did it a couple of times, I was like, there's recipes in here that I would never make, that I would like food recipes that I'm like, this is probably great, but I would personally never make this. I'm like, we don't eat chicken, and I like have a recipe about chicken tikka masala, which is fine, but it's like, that's not me. So I've changed some of that a bit and like adjusted several of those, and I feel like it's in a really good flow. And so reaching back out to my customers to be like, that has been really positive. I've gotten like a lot of people saying yeses, that they want to host these classes. So I was supposed to have one last month, but it got canceled, and I have 3 set up for February with like my current customers as well as leader. And just to be able to like love on their people, reach out to their people, current people, but then also welcome new people as well. Cause I just think the idea of like people now are more like, oh, I know about oils because my aunt gave me lavender that she got at the gas station 2 years ago. Like, I know about oils. And it's like, you don't, but there's no telling people that, right? And so being like, hey, come to a recipes class, and they're like, hey, I have lavender, that might be helpful. And that's when they learn like, oh, there actually is a difference. So that's been really positive, and I've been really pleased to see a lot of my customers respond like, yeah, that they want to host that. So that's kind of what January looked like and heading into February for me.
Thanks, Em. I need counseling after walking Em through the vendor fair. I feel like we're all pitying Em and all, but it was really a doozy.
Oh
But
my gosh, horrible.
later on, I'm going to talk about something that connects back to that. So thank you for sharing that, Em. And I would imagine that there are other people in other pockets that are doing these online vendor fairs. So that's something for us all to keep in mind. I wouldn't necessarily encourage any of you to go create a group for it, but if you can find one, just a thought. So I also just very spontaneously I'm thinking I might put Laura Shields on the spot. If she's okay with that, she might give me a thumbs up. She might be frozen. Am I frozen? She's frozen. Okay, we might come back to her. I was like,
Amy, Laura has a question. Laura Whip.
Yeah, so it's not a question though, it's just a comment. I did one virtual vendor fair a couple months ago with a gal that she coordinated it, and she's with Usborne Books. but you did a far better job than I did at this vendor fair. I was watching you all week, and your posts were phenomenal. Your teasers were spot on. I would love you to just package that up and share that with us, because it's like exactly what to do in a vendor fair. You did a really great job.
Thanks. That's really nice. I took most of my posting cues from Amy Baumit, so credit to her. But yeah, I do have it all in a document and like the stuff that I use. So I'm more than willing to share if you guys have like, hey, I want to do one
now. I want it now.
Yeah, I
know
can totally share.
Laura Shields is available now, but Emily, my quick question was, when you're doing those recipe classes, I know you talk about doing this for customers. Are you talking about reaching to like areas in your business where you need more engagement? Or like, are you looking at different things when you're doing this? Or are you just like, I'm looking for people on LRP? Or are you just like, I'm looking for new people? Or is it all things to different people?
Yeah, good question. How I started was going to my like most loyal customers, the people that are like super engaged with Fierce Oilers, the people that have been ordering every month. And I'm like, hey, I know. And so phrasing it in a way and being like, hey, I know you love your oils. I also know you probably wonder of different ways you can use them. And everyone so far has been like, yes. So I feel like it could go either way, right? It could be like, hey, I noticed you haven't ordered in 6 months. Like, would this be helpful? I feel like it could go either way. I just went to like kind of launch it more. I went with the people that I like have a close relationship with, our current or like good customers, that type of thing.
Thank you.
Laura Shields, one more thing. You could pretty easily take the PowerPoint and swap out the enrollment kits for like the Healthy Habits LRP kit, the 3 wellness tracks, right? Like, or like assemble a couple of LRP templates and talk to people about like those kinds of things too, if it was like strictly potential customer or current customers, but I know there's usually overlap. Okay, I asked Laura to share just really quickly because she is still really doing a great job with her Symphony of the Cells classes, and she did one in January, and I just was hoping that she might share with us like some of the results from that, if you're willing to, Laura.
Yeah, so I took December off just for myself. I needed a break from all the Symphony of Cells things and just holidays and all that, a little bit of burning too much. So yeah, December I took off, and with the chiropractor's office hours and everything, that kind of worked out well. But we started back up in January. And so we're still just kind of like taking it month by month, me talking to my people, her talking to her people. And it has gone well. Like, we're still getting a lot of interest in it, and scheduling is just always a hard thing. So I am going to do like more online, I think, as well, like offering the class online, just to kind of, with the winter and time, people aren't always wanting to get together. But this last class I had a couple ladies come to that, and another one, it was another chiropractor actually that came as well. So a friend of my chiropractor. And so talking to her, like following up with her, she already knew about doTERRA, was already using that, but she said she had never heard of Symphony of the Cells. So that was kind of like the in, and that was the new for her. And just even like, she said, sometimes I'll do like kind of what are essential oils even at my clinic. But she said, I still learned stuff tonight, even like from your class, and she's been using it. And she said, it just was a really nice presentation of everything. And then with the addition of Symphony of the Cells. So yeah, so I'm still following up with her. We're talking about if she would be wanting to do a Symphony of the Cells class at her office, or if she just wants to learn more about Symphony of the Cells. We're kind of going back and forth yet still on that. And then the other lady too that was there, she was like a young mom that I just met at the clinic, and we would, talk when we were both there getting adjustments, and our kids would play together, kind of a thing. And again, she was one that was familiar with oils, had quite a few, she said, but it was like kind of the basics. Like, she was asking a lot of questions about diluting and just kind of, I have oils, like Emily kind of said, like I have oils, but I don't really know what to do with them, or I'm just really like worried about what to do for kids. And so I just don't do anything. So she asked a lot of great questions. We had good conversation there. We're having like good continued conversation about how to use her oils. And I'm excited to get those ladies also plugged into kind of the pop-up oily pop-up classes that Amy is doing as well. And I've been talking to Amy about that. So yeah, so like kind of again, just like that customer that has oils, thinks that they kind of know what they are, but not really, like not the extent of them, but also is just eager to learn. Like they really are eager to learn things of how to take care of themselves. So yeah, so I think like they're still going well. It's still a lot of fun to do those, and the ladies are always like really impressed that there's so much that you can do with the oils and that you can use so much of them too. I think yeah, I don't know, it's still like I feel like I learned something new at every class myself, but they're really good. They're a lot of fun.
Thank you, Laura. Jerry has a question. Go ahead, Jerry.
Laura, how many different Symphony of the Cells do you do? I don't remember. Do you do just like the basic protocol, or do you pick two, or how do you?
Yeah, so the first couple times that I did the class, I mainly focused on inflammation and the ID one for the immune system. So those are kind of like the main ones that I do highlight. But in recent, I've kind of asked more to like what the ladies want to talk about and what they're interested in. And a lot of them have had a lot of interest in digestion, hormones, and forgiveness, actually. Those are the kind of the three that we've talked about the most. I would say like the last two classes I've done, we've talked about those ones quite a bit. For lots of different reasons. I think just with women too, like the forgiveness and digestion, like that goes hand in hand quite a bit. So, and hormones. So, I mean, it's kind of been a little bit of, these are ones I highlight. And when I'm like giving an example or I give a protocol demonstration, I'll just ask them, you know, I have the oils for these 3 different protocols. Which one would you like? And then they'll say which one they want. Mm-hmm.
Laura, you're I think the one of all of us that has really consistently pushed through COVID and had classes in person, and it's gone well. Like you've done them and you've had people show up and you haven't really had pushback, have you?
No, I haven't. And I give that a lot of credit to my chiropractor as well. Like we just have had some good conversations, and it's all been personal invites for the most part, I would say. And so that kind of like one-on-one conversation, I think, helps with what people are comfortable with. I did have a Symphony of Cells one online as well and had a good turnout to that. And that was a lot of my current customers that are just maybe farther in distance and couldn't ever come to one that was local. But no, I haven't had any pushback, and we've had really good success. They've been smaller classes, like they're not big, but that's kind of my happy area, is just like a few people, so that I can talk to each one individually.
If you ever do another one online, I would love to be a fly on the wall, and I promise I would behave to watch it online. I think a number of us would love to see you do that. Yeah. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'll let you know.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot. Yeah, so Laura's a great resource in Symphony of the Cells stuff, and she's done a good job of like paving the way on that. So we're grateful for, yeah, Melissa won't behave. So we'll see. You could keep her in the waiting room. I like that waiting room feature. Okay. Lindsay, Lindsay's going to share with us just a little bit about Leadership Retreat, which is coming up.
Okay, so I wanted to do something different that we haven't done yet. So would you guys all do a favor for me and turn off your video, and you just click on your video camera, it says stop video. So I want everyone to stop their video. Okay, so when I ask a question, then can you guys still see me?
I see only your picture.
Okay, that's weird. It went to like share screen, but when I see your picture,
mine did too, Lindsay.
Okay, so when something applies to you, you're going to turn your video camera on when I ask a question. So turn your video on if you enjoy our monthly leader calls.
You better all turn.
Trick question. Amy had me ask that one. Okay, turn your camera off. Okay, so turn your camera on if you enjoy hearing different people talk about their styles or the types of classes that they are doing. Wonderful. All right, let's turn it off. We have one more question. Okay, turn your video camera on if you would like the ability to learn from leaders from the whole of doTERRA, people who are geographically quite farther away or leadership wise pretty far away from you, and you'd like the benefit of their experience with doTERRA. Okay, so if you think of our Monday night calls as like a precursor to leadership, that is something that doTERRA offers us. And it's a way that leaders from all over the business can get together, and COVID style, it's going to be on Zoom. But it's great because you can hear from different styles of leaders. You can hear about different tools that you have access to. You can learn about new products sometimes that doTERRA is kind of rolling out and they want your feedback on. They have skill set and personal development opportunities that you can pour into. And it's just really a great way, personally, I feel, to network with people throughout the country, throughout doTERRA, throughout honestly, even just corporate, so that you can meet leaders and the people who support you at corporate and see all the support. Because sometimes we're doing the oils and we're doing sharing, but doing it as a business is something to just kind of dip your toes into, and you can go as far deep as you want into that water, and leadership is a great opportunity to do that. And so it's usually every March, and it is something that during COVID is kind of a silver lining that you can attend virtually, because you don't have to worry about all of the extras of going in person and taking time off of work and all of that. So that is something that's coming up, and you should have received an email from doTERRA about it and how you can register and what you need to qualify. Another silver lining about it being virtual is it's I think it's like $39, is that right, if you register? And your qualifying time period is is it over officially? Was it through January 31st? Does anybody know that?
Okay, did I miss, is there a rank requirement? Yes or no? I thought it looked like there wasn't. Hold on, you keep going, Lindsay. I'm looking.
Okay, there was a rank requirement. In some years in the past, they've opened it up. But the last I had seen on email was that there was a rank requirement of silver and above. And I can tell you that when the last 2 years, I literally qualified like at midnight, the last day that you could qualify. So it's totally possible. So if they do open up the requirements and the deadline hasn't already passed, I highly encourage you to all just try it, especially virtually. And then I'm also going to put a challenge that at some point you try it in person too. But so yes, there's the early bird special, which is $39, and they usually send you swag in that amount as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think you might be right. Well, we'll get you guys a firm answer on qualification. You're right. We're silver and above it again this year. Last year, they opened it up to everyone, all ranks. This year, it is back to silver and above. Thank you, Lindsay, for being more on the ball on that than I am.
And they might change it throughout February because that has happened historically. So, but right now it's currently silver and above.
Good point. Thank goodness for Lindsay. Lindsay, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited for leadership. And no matter what, as long as you stay tuned in Fierce Leaders, we do our best to trickle down the information. But it really is, I hope you guys have noticed that like doTERRA does events in general well, but I think they've done online events well. You know, I think they've worked hard to make that work. So I'm grateful for that for sure. Okay, so I wanted to just take a little bit here to update you guys on the oily pop-up. So when I'm talking about the oily pop-up, I just want to preface that this is M's like original vision that came from a customer that she turned into a recipes class that Wendy made a PowerPoint for, that I kind of took the ball and ran with, mostly in the sense of I don't expect Emily to have to create something for like the team at large. That's not really Emily's responsibility. And also from the idea of like kind of like launching it at large and letting you guys then insert your own voices into it. I hope that makes sense, but I just want to make sure I give credit where credit is due on that. And really what Emma said is so true. It's just a brilliant repackaging of what we already do, is really what it is. Okay. All the basics, all of that. And I think you heard us allude to the fact that it can be for current customers, potential customers. You can have a customer host one. You can host one yourself. You can use it as your launch week. We've got Barb Anderson on with us tonight, and she and her daughter Jordan have their launch week planned next week, and they're doing it with the oily pop-up format, and working on that. So they've got 2 classes scheduled in that week time frame. I'll kind of teach the one, and then we'll like kind of figure out slides of who belongs best in what slide for the second one. So there's no wrong way to do it. So I know this month, more of us than have in the past are doing it. Pam's doing one, Barb and Jordan are doing, we're kind of, Em has hers that she's running. And so I think it's good to see how this is evolving a little bit. I know Laura Shields has people interested in them. I have, what I've tried to create is the PowerPoint and the outline. I have like an overview, a step-by-step of what you do if somebody wants to host one for you, what you do, like if you're hosting one, what you do if it's like your launch week and you're doing it, right? So I have those breakdowns. If you want those, I don't have them like in one, like you have to reach out and ask me for them. I'm not just going to blast those because I think it would be overwhelming. And it's a balance for me of creating a framework that gives you guys enough of the principles and the nuts and bolts, and then saying, I need you to now insert your voice into it, right? Because it's not like Amy's thing. It's not Amy's format. This is like, here's something that I think is a really great idea. Can you make it your own and run with it? Again, without losing like the things that actually make a class or presentation successful, because you can't eliminate those things, because then you'll be like, this class format's the worst if you eliminate that. Okay. I have a couple quick, easy tips for you that I've kind of been evolving as we've been working on this. So the idea of asking if this is probably, no, it doesn't matter if you're hosting it or you're asking somebody to host it for you, picking a focus area. Something that Laura Shields and I talked about is like, she's got a customer whose like pocket is like littles, right? Like mom life littles. So like why it could be oily recipes for, for mom life or whatever. And so then swapping, you could very easily fix the recipes PowerPoints to be like Laura was rattling them off, like runny nose, fever, stomach bug, that she had cuter names, but like write down rash, owie spray, right through those. And you could keep literally everything else the same. You could do it for, remember when Dana Moore did this with Essential Oils Made Easy? You could do it for teachers. You could do it for, you could insert whatever focus area you wanted. And I think it could be really helpful to say to a host, is there a specific area you want to focus on, and really dial in on that? Okay, so don't be afraid to do that. Ask your host. Another thing, I will give Pam credit for this, being like, I really would love to include a deep blue rub or an adaptive. Like I'm always like wild orange peppermint girl, because I think there's like, that's just, I'm going to create the format, I'm going to give it to you. But maybe like, okay, could we add a little adaptive in there? Like that's an oil I love, kind of a thing. So thinking about some of those variations, I think will help you put your own stamp on it. Does that make sense? So if you want more of that format, let me know. On the other 2 formats, I wanted to give you a super quick update on where we launched in January, Sharing Made Easy and Business Casual. And I think both went well. I think that we can, part of the greater vision of 2021 is like, we have given the framework in 2020. Now, how can we put our own voices into it? How can we each be sharing our own testimonies or teaching in our own way or doing that own thing? And I think that sharing made easy and especially business casual really gives space for that. So I think they were really well received. I think they were well attended. And I think they were a great replacement for business made easy. So the recordings are up for those. And of course, we'll be doing them in February as well. The links are on the EOME and CE landing pages, actually. So it's all ready to go for you. 21-day challenge. Do we all know about this? Yes. Okay, good. Right. So it started today. Just so you guys know, besides sending people in Fierce Oilers over to doTERRA, I'm not doing anything with it. My personal recommendation would be to like participate in whatever way you can, because like we should know what the customer experience is like. And we have, of course, we're customers ourselves. We have things to learn too. And so I've texted the number. I'm kind of following along. I watched Simone and Ange Peters today. So that would be my advice on that, but I'm not doing anything in Fierce Oilers for that besides directing people over there. Okay. All right. Are you guys ready for me to share my screen? Are you scared of what my Google Doc might say? Who's feeling a little nervous? Anyone feeling a little nervous? Laura Hadamiya's definitely nervous. Okay, here we go. So something I just wanted to touch on was, notice that possible is the biggest word on here. Possible customer contact points in February. What are ways that you can pick and choose of ways that you can connect with? And this could work for potential customers too. But I think for leaders at large, current customers is a good place to start too. So what are possible ways you could be connecting with your customers? I wouldn't recommend all these. This is just a grouping. This is a menu. It's a buffet. Just so you know, my mom and I are ordering the supplies today and getting everything lined up to do another nutrition sample pack offering. Dear Lord, it actually was really well received. And so you can, the same Google form will work. We're also going to be letting people know in Fierce Oilers, like in a little bit of a larger format this way too. So thanks for your patience again on that. And so another one will be coming your way. So you can use that and let people know. A great customer contact point, the Emotions and Essential Oils class on February 15th, right? Letting people know about that. Here's one for you. I came up with this very spontaneously. An adaptive challenge text format. Hey, our adaptive challenge was so well received. We've come up with an easy way to gift your friends some adaptive too. Giving a gift that supports mental wellness is on the top of my list right now. Am I right? Basically, you get to run a mini adaptive challenge via text with 5 friends. I provide the adaptive for your friends, and we just follow along and learn together via text. I'll gift you an adaptive roller if you have 5 friends participate, and adaptive capsules if you have 10 participate. What do you think? I talked with Laura Whipperman about this, and one of her thoughts was offering either a Symphony of the Cells book or an essential oil accessory. Did you see all those little cap accessories as the gifts? So picking maybe something you have on hand or something that helps them use their oils is a great strategy. But I actually got a pretty good response to this. So what about the time change for the continuing education series? We are going to 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for those Saturday mornings. And so that could be a customer contact point. Maybe they've attended frequently, so you want to make sure they caught the change so they don't get mad at you. I don't know. It'd be good to cover your bases. Or maybe that's a better time for them at that new time. And so you could let them know that as well. Okay. What about the Doterra Dollars that they're offering? I think that's really fun. So hosting a pop-up or a recipes class or whatever you want to call it. Hey, did you hear that Doterra is doing a fun new thing called Doterra Dollars this month? You can earn 50 Doterra Dollars just for sharing oils with someone. I'm offering for my oil lovers to host an oily pop-up, a small online gathering to teach recipes for essential oils. And I thought of you because I know you'd be able to earn some freebies and Doterra Dollars. Do you know a few friends who'd love to learn some recipes for their essential oils? I send them some extra samples ahead of time, and I promise it's a lot of fun. Again, these can be tweaked. Okay.
Hey, you know what? Here's a fun thing. I just got off a call with Betty Torres Forboards team, and they said that going forward, it's not going to be points anymore. It's going to be Doterra Dollars.
We're done. Yeah, points was a little confusing.
And Amy, do our leaders on this call, do they remember or realize that there's also a Doterra Dollars incentive for them as the enroller?
that they're getting 52.
Mhm.
Sorry, I don't know the difference between Doterra dollars and points.
So Susan, in the past, it was like if somebody orders 100 PV, you get 50 PV. It was confusing with PV versus dollars, and it was confusing to the people who were just like sharers and didn't really get like what's PV, what's going on. So now it's like not enroll with a 100 PV kit. It's like enroll with $150, and then you get 50 Doterra dollars. Like just the language has been cleaned up, and it's really helpful in trying to explain it to customers at large. Did I make it worse or did I make it better?
Melissa and I will talk about it at our next meeting. I don't want to take up all the time here. I just don't want to take up all your time. Everybody else knows probably.
No, you're good. So this month, yes, if somebody enrolls, if you a new enrollment with $150, you get 50 Doterra dollars and they get 50 Doterra dollars. And the last thing I was going to throw out there, okay, so I felt like it went pretty well to give a good run at the adaptive challenge. You guys got adaptive in the hands of a lot of people, and I thought it was our best challenge yet. So one of the oils that I think we're going to do a Copaiba challenge next, Copaiba. It would start March 8th, and I don't know why this is small here. That's okay. I was thinking it would be good to give you that same concept of, hey, I had so much fun getting adaptive into the hands of my customers that I wanted to do that again with another favorite oil of mine, Copaiba. I just can't get enough of this oil and how versatile it is. My family has chosen to use our Copaiba over any CBD products. Do you have Copaiba already? Can I drop a sample in the mail for you? And so if we know March 8th is coming and we can make sure that people are well prepared, that's a great customer contact point, because I think that leads to a really awesome challenge. Does that make sense?
Sorry, when is leadership? Does that overlap with leadership?
Leadership is March 18th and 19th.
18th. Okay, never mind.
It has an 8 in it. It'll give you that.
Amy, can I request, are you going to share this document into our, okay, team tab?
Yeah, I will put it right in the team app. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second. If there are questions, put that in the chat box. I think what I wanted to say is if you feel like you want to revisit one of those with more specific detail, because again, those are frameworks, then you should totally set up a call with me or Melissa and set that up and hash that out. Because there's a lot in each one of those, but like to get your wheels turning on what are ways I can lean into this. Something that I've really been thinking about for 2021 is like, I want to work on getting like uncomfortable. The way the world is right now is very comfortable to me. Like I told Lindsay King, I would have been devastated if leadership were in person, like crushed. I love being at home. I love doing stuff online. I love all of that. And so it's become very comfortable for me. And I was thinking as we shared on Business Casual about like what our journey used to look like. Oh, it was so uncomfortable. It made me sweaty like 6 times a month. Oh my gosh, I was crying. Well, not like dramatic, but I was like leaving my family to go on these trips. Like it was just very different. And so I'm trying to seek out ways in 2021 that I can do things that like make me a little sweaty, make me a little uncomfortable, and bring that back a little bit, because honestly, I'll just camp out here and I'll never, it'll be that. So that's kind of a little bit of a challenge for you too. Maybe that inspires you to think about like, what are ways, like that online vendor event was uncomfortable for Emily for sure. And there was fruit from that. Laura Shield would rather be at home than teaching a Symphony of Cells class, probably, and so there's fruit from that. So what are the ways that you can do something that like stretches you a little bit? I won't make you stay on for this, but what I was going to do is put those outlines back up and see if we could take some time. I want to do skill set while we're on together. I want to work together on some of these things while we're on Zoom. And I was going to like challenge each one of us to reach out to 2 up to 5 people about hosting a class this month. I think that that's the sweatiest one. And I think that's the one where there's the most fruit, right? Of saying like, can we share some recipes with your friends about essential oils? So if you need to hop off, I understand. I'm not going to like keep track of who stays on, but if you'd like to stay on in this group and do some of that connecting, maybe you want to look at your detailed genealogy and think of like who are some of my really loyal customers. I like how Emily was even like, you might learn some new recipes for yourself, it sounded like, in her reaching out. Or maybe it's a certain area you want to work on. But I'm going to do some of that reaching out. And anybody's welcome to stay on with me if they would like, or ask questions in the chat box. Yeah, Lynn's.
So this is not about what you're talking about. So I feel bad for jumping in, but there was something I was going to show you guys tonight. So I had set up like a little mini oil bar at work because we're all wearing masks. And so originally it was my oil bar so that I could have the oils visible along with the diffuser that I've had out, and people, I was swiping different oils onto my mask, but then people were asking if they could use it. And so I have these little mini spray bottles that I had given like 4 or 5 choices to them with like adaptive and serenity and wild orange and peppermint. And I had put them up on the counter at work, and people are like coming by daily now, like even on their breaks, and swapping out and getting different smells. So it was just a nice way for them to do a little spritz and bridge the gap and have it something super tangible, because they didn't need like a diffuser. Everyone's wearing masks now, so it was really easy for them to utilize. So
That's amazing. And you know that I'm going to ask you to post that all over the internet. I need it in Fierce Oilers. I need it in Fierce Leaders by 9 o'clock
I'll get
tonight.
a picture of it for sure.
Yes, that's so good. I love it. She has the best spray bottles. Are those from Oil Life? Where are they from? You always have the color ones.
They're from Amazon. They did come from China, so it took like a month and a half for them to come, because I really wanted the colors on the top because they're so adorable. They have plain ones that are cheaper and from America, but I'll put both of the links in there for you.
Thank you. Mom, I don't understand your question.
Well, so a lot of what you're posting, I feel like could be like a group text, right? And some of the group has figured out a way to do a group texting situation, right? Am I right?
Well, I see what you're referring to. You're using, your verbiage is going to confuse people. I don't group text unless I text all the Fierce Leaders just to irritate them. So text marketing, a texting service.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Multiple. I know, I just want to make sure. But yeah, they are, I know Essential Connection Company is who creates the content, and they're switching from the service Project Broadcast, but I think I'm still going to keep it. So everybody hold the phone on that. I don't know what's happening there, but I do think a texting service is very nice. I don't know that I can go into great justice with the changes afoot.
I just feel like I like you are launching more and more really good material where a service like that would be really helpful. And I'm like doing one of those nosedives on my tube behind the boat because I can't figure that out. And I really want to get on board very badly.
Right. I get that. But so there's like a whole range too. Like some of us are like, well, I can grab 2 people off my customer list and text them. Like you don't have to send out, like, I might be unique in sending out hundreds and hundreds of texts, right? That's not necessarily where everyone is at, for one. And for 2, I really do think like you might look at your customer list and be like, I'm going to let, like, I know 20 really need to know about, no, 5 really need to know about the continuing education time change. So you don't really need, you need like intentionality and maybe organization behind it so that it doesn't like beat you down. You're just like, oh, I know where my customer list is and I know who to kind of look at. So I know.
Okay, so great. Emily offered to help me across the board with all of this. We're all signing up with them.
Melissa, do you know 2 people that you could text about hosting an oily pop-up right now? You don't need a marketing service for that.
Oh, I know. I'm talking about BOGOs and things like that. Just ask.
We're not talking about BOGOs right now.
Right. I know we're not.
Yeah, sometime maybe we'll talk about a text marketing service. Where is it? When I figure out what's going on with the current service. Okay, let me put this in the chat box.
I just wanted to say, for those who, I know Sonia and I've been using Enroll Pro since May, just because I don't have that's easy for me, and that is $20 a month, but it's Laura Jacobs, and it's either group email, and you can pick your perspectives, you can pick your, your current customers, and I love it. So for me, it's worth the $20 a month. So just thought I'd put a plug in for that.
No, that's a good point. I know there is great stuff within Enroll Pro too. I haven't used it personally, but I know.
Hey, Amy, can you repost that in the chat? Because I had to log out of my computer. It was frozen. Thank you.
Yes, I can definitely do that. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you put that in the chat. There you go. Okay, I did 5 people. I'm worried that if I do any more, what if that February that I won't be alive in March. What will be left of me? All right, everybody. I know that was long, sorry. Okay, so you guys have let me stop my share really quick. I will put the outlines into the team app so you have them. If you have further questions and you want to engage in greater detail on any of these topics, like I said, just reach out. But I think there's some great stuff going on this month. I think March is going to be great, leadership and all good things there. So thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you all soon, okay?